Just when I thought I was going to go to bed, Jaden Daniels and Aiyuk have been up to some IG posting that I was unaware of right under my nose when I'm doing a live stream. Look, this happened, I guess, 6 hours ago and 3 hours ago. Jaden Daniels posted a photo of Brandon Aiyuk in the background. You can see walking and Jaden Daniels, and put up twin and, crossing the fingers and hoping emoji. And then Aiyuk reposted it, I think, 3 hours ago. And it's crazy because, just that one emoji makes you wonder what in the hell's going on. Is this an old photo he threw up saying, there's my friend, I'm just going to put a photo up of when we hung out last? Or is this right now? Is Aiyuk hanging out with JD5? Why is he in the vicinity? And what's this about? You think JD5 is not having a conversation with the commander brass right now saying what Stroud said, get me Tank Dell. Stroud said, draft Tank Dell, that's my friend, that makes me comfortable. You want to win championships, get me Tank Dell. Tank Dell. Joe Burrow started this trend in a way. Go get me Jamar Chase. You want to win championships? You want a Super Bowl appearance right away? Get me Jamar Chase. JD5 is putting up this. You think he's putting this up and hoping the Commanders just see it? Or do you think he's commenting on something he knows is in the works, trying to brew? We don't know. But all I know is this is news. We're speculating. We have nothing to go on. I'm not saying we do. I'm not trying to make something out of nothing. I'm not trying to create clickbait, as some people will say. Niner fans get mad over this kind of content, like, oh, just trying to post anything. This is coming from JD5, and it's coming from Aiyuk. And they're both putting up an Instagram story post that has this in it. What do you think? The Fantasy Football Show emergency live stream begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
Other people sleep. Other people will be like, my wife won't let me go live right now, or vice versa. It doesn't have to be. It could be a lady content creator, and the husband won't let him go live. Whatever the case may be, this studio lights haven't gone off yet. I was about to power down, and I said, I gotta go to work. I've got a job to do. I have one thing that I'm responsible for in this world, and it is to save a fantasy owner. Captain Save a Smitty is here to Captain Save an owner. And when news breaks, I'm here to discuss it. And this is not news coming from Schefter. This is not news coming from a beat reporter in San Francisco or in Washington. But sometimes some of the gems in the news world, or the speculation world, or the talking head world, I admit that I'm a talking head. I take pride in that I'm a commentator, an opinion type of reporter, if you will, to some degree, because it's what I enjoy to do. It's what I enjoy doing: speculating, predicting, trying to dissect things. I'm not out here trying to be Ian Rappaport or I'm not trying to be Schefter or any of these guys reporting fact-based information. I'm here to try and speculate and see ahead of the curve. I can't tell you that a deal is going to get done between Aiyuk and the Niners, or that a trade's going to get done between the Niners and the Washington Commanders. None of us can know, what's in store here. The only thing we can do is try and read between the lines. And when JD5 and Aiyuk are both posting this story post up that shows an emoji of crossing your fingers, twin, crossing your fingers. Are they together now? I'm not saying I even have that information. The only thing I know is that JD5 took this photo of them together. They're best friends. They talk 3 to 4 times per day. They FaceTime 2 or 3 times per day. This is JD5's absolute best friend. It's his best friend. They talk more times than you and I talk per day. That's a lot, believe me. And so you got to know that you're not doing this. You're not saying twin. Not to mention, I don't know if anybody really understands what had happened during that FaceTime call the other day that went down. I don't think people realize that during that FaceTime call, let me play the audio real quickly of the reaction of JD5 when Aiyuk told him that the Niners didn't want him back. He said,
They said they don't want me back.
Listen to JD5. Why would you yell? Let me tell you something. These are two best friends. This is not JD5 being a bad friend. Think deeper than that. When your best friend, and these guys are close, tells you that your team doesn't want you back, your employer doesn't want you there for the long term, as a good friend, wouldn't you say something like, man, bro, I'm so sorry to hear that, man. You deserve better. They're making a big mistake. Why would you yell, I think he yells, we're not sure if he yells my boy or my bro, but he yells my boy in the background. Why would you yell that? Why would you yell with the excitement when your best friend tells you his employer no longer wants him? Wouldn't you, if you didn't think something was brewing, if you didn't think there was some sort of like conversation that he knows about that we aren't privy to, why else would JD5 be yelling my boy or my brother or whatever he yelled in the background in excitement because Aiyuk is not wanted by his team? Gee, I wonder what's going on. Now the Niners, I know what's going on. I'm not an idiot, okay? I stay on top of this as much as anybody. I have to. It's my job. I know. I'm not an idiot. I know that the Niners are pushing and peddling a story out there right now that they're not trying to trade him. They never wanted to trade him. They absolutely want him there. And that they never even really entertained a Debo or Aiyuk trade offer during the NFL draft or any point during the offseason. Of course you're going to peddle that story out there. Why? Posturing. If you did want to trade Aiyuk, you did want to trade Debo, the best course of action is to pretend like you're not interested. When you go to a car dealer, do you sit there and go, I'm leaving with the car today, guys? Now come talk to me. No, you say, I don't even need a car. I really don't even need a car. My car is pretty good. I don't even need a car. Tell me what you got, and, if it's too good to be true, I'll do it. But I don't want a car right now. This is trade 101. They're posturing. And I don't care what John or Kyle or Schefter or Rappaport or anybody says. A beat writer in San Francisco, Miyako, the lead beat writer, the leader of all the beat writers in San Francisco, who says that Sam Darnold throws the best football out of all the Niner quarterbacks that have ever played for the 49ers. He says Sam Darnold throws the best football out of all Joe Montana, Steve Young. That's the guy we're gonna believe. All these beat writers that say Niners reportedly didn't want to trade Debo or Aiyuk all off season long. It turns out that during the draft they didn't even entertain it. They answered the phone and said, no, we don't want to trade them. Oh yeah, that's why they raced to pick Ricky Pearsall in round 1. That's why it appeared that the Buffalo Bills kept trading back and then eventually to the 2.1 so they could sleep on it, have further conversations with the Niners. Yeah, I'm sure the Niners didn't want to trade Debo or Aiyuk. Sure, whatever you say, the moment the Eagles dropped the A.J. Brown contract, the $84 million guaranteed on the news world 12 minutes before the draft began, that's when the Niners said, wow, we might not be able to even trade Aiyuk. Now we've got to entertain trading Debo Samuel at the same time. That news was everywhere. Schefter reported that. Everybody reported that. Now because Schefter reports something, I want to say it was Friday, where he says the Niners never actually intended, according to sources, never intended to trade Brandon Aiyuk or Debo Samuel. Whatever. We heard him say it the other way around before. We're going to believe it this time? I don't buy it for a second. All it comes down to, let me just tell you something. You can say what you want. You can say, oh, I have information here, Smitty. I know that they don't want to trade him. John said this. Kyle said this. They're not trying to trade him. There's only two things that are needed for a trade to potentially go down. Not that it will go down, but potentially go down. Number one, there needs to be a divide between the player and the team. If there's not a divide between the player and the team, it is hard for a team to give up somebody that they really like and enjoy. Now, if they don't like the player at all, that's kind of a divide, right? If they think that the player is good, but they don't necessarily need him, that's a divide. That's a form of divide. Or if there's a contract dispute, or if whatever the case may be, they're a head case, they're a problem off the field, they're a problem in the locker room, they're a problem on the field and off the field. That has to be present for a trade to be in the conversation, right? Number two, there has to be an offer that the other team can't refuse. If the offer is so good, too good to be true almost, but they love the player, they still might not make the trade if there's no riff at all. There is a riff. There is a divide. Aiyuk wants X amount of dollars. The Niners want to give him Y amount of dollars. And X and Y don't even come close. And they're getting further and further apart because every contract that comes out makes Aiyuk want more money, and the Niners are not budging toward that direction at all. They're getting further and further and further apart. So there is a divide, a rift, so to speak. Now, the only component left is that a team steps up that has cap space. The Commanders have about 37 to 40 million in that range of available cap space. All that's needed with a riff or a divide in place is for a team to give the Niners an offer they can't refuse. That's it. It doesn't matter what John said. Doesn't matter what John's going to say. Doesn't matter what Kyle Shanahan says. Doesn't matter what Matt Maiocco says. Doesn't matter what Schefter says. Doesn't matter what anybody says. Doesn't matter what the commissioner says. It doesn't. Nothing matters other than what comes out of the mouth of the team trying to make this happen. And the one strongest vibe I get here, and there's people saying Denver's involved in something now. That's not true. There was a reporter or some beat writer or something, or some radio station, Denver's radio station host, that asked a reporter or somebody of no significance, hey, would you do this trade? Denver fan base wants to go get Aiyuk. What would you do? Sutton in a first rounder or Sutton in 2 second rounders. Would you do that? And he answered, yeah, I would. And then everyone's like, oh, Denver's making an offer for... No, they're not. Denver's not in the mix right now. Not saying they couldn't be, but they're not in the mix. And we don't know that the Commanders have made an offer either, to be fair. But what we do know is that Jaden Daniels wants Brandon Aiyuk on his team probably as much as Joe Burrow wanted Chase and Stroud wanted Tank Dell, if not even more. Tank Dell and Stroud were fast friends at the combine, but they were not friends beforehand. They met each other, so that relationship wasn't even as strong. I would say Jaden Daniels is pushing for Brandon Aiyuk to land in Washington more than Stroud was pushing for Tank Dell to be drafted. I think Jamar Chase and Burrow, that was pretty strong, a strong desire. But Joe Burrow even came out publicly and said, I'm not telling them what to do or anything like that. Of course, I'd love to play with Jamar, but I want to do what's best for the team, and he's involved. I would venture to say that JD5 is probably hardcore pushing to get Aiyuk traded to the Commanders from the Niners more than Burrow pushed for getting Jamar Chase on roster and more than Stroud pushed for Tank Dell getting on roster. This is his absolute best friend. They FaceTime 2 to 3 times a day. They talk 3 to 4 times a day. They're absolutely in each other's corner. This man, JD5, started screaming with joy when Aiyuk said that his team didn't want him back. And he's a great friend, so it's not like a negative thing. He has something going on in his mind. He's privy to something we don't have information about. And to post this photo, we don't know if it was today or an old photo they posted just to reminisce with the twin and hopeful emoji of crossing the fingers. To me, there's something going on. I don't know if it leads to anything, but there's something going on. And this would be the best marriage we could cook up for a guy like Brandon Aiyuk that has a tremendous skill set that could take a huge leap forward. And yeah, it would be a kick to Dodson's value. It would be a kick in the sack to McLaurin's value. It would definitely take a hit, to the Senate and McCafery, Luke McCaffrey value, Eckler. Everybody would probably take a little bit of a fantasy hit, except for JD5. He was sore. And then Aiyuk, to be honest with you, because of the rapport and the relationship between these two, who played together at ASU, I might add. If anybody didn't know that, why they're best friends. They played together at ASU. JD5 left. Aiyuk and JD5 did connect. There's a long touchdown video that I could put on my Instagram. I'll show you guys later. They're fast friends. They've been fast friends since. and there's such a rapport and connection and friendship here that Aiyuk would get fed immediately. I have no doubt that Aiyuk could produce better numbers in Washington, even in a crowded space, than he could in San Francisco playing. Let's share who's the number one target for Brock Purdy. Is it Christian McCaffrey? Is it going to be Kittle this game? Is it going to be Debo this game? Is it going to be Ricky Pearsall at some point trying to rotate in? And if this guy's playing on his fifth-year option, which would be the next step if he doesn't request a trade, which I think he still will. If the Niners don't budge on this, he might verbally request a trade to cause like unrest in the public eye, to create the Niners to jump off the chair and get to the table and say, like, okay, what could we work out then? They need a little bit of public disruption, some smoke, some dust to be kicked up in the air so people start knowing that there's a problem, right? Then the fan base starts calling for it. The Niners feel pressured to trade him. That's why you request a trade. That's probably the next step. If they don't ink out a long-term deal and they don't initiate a trade without him requesting a trade officially, verbally, in front of everybody, public, then after that, at that point, Aiyuk plays on his fifth-year option. And if he plays on his fifth-year option, he could get hurt. He doesn't want to do that, but he would do it. He'd bank on himself because right now he's asking for 29 to 30 mil. The Niners don't want to pay that. Next offseason, after Lamb signs, after Chase signs, Aiyuk will sleepwalk into a $30 million a year contract. He'll want more than that because he'll be worth more than that. But he knows that if he waits, he's getting way more money. The guaranteed money the Niners probably want to pay is between 60 and 68 million. He wants 70, 75 probably. Maybe they pay him 58 to 65 million, the Niners. He's going to get 70 plus guaranteed in 2025 and beyond if he waits and plays out his fifth-year option. His fifth-year option is not a bad price tag anyway. So he's going to play that out, okay? He's going to play it out. And then the Niners, what? They start getting Ricky Pearsall into the rotation. They start preparing their 2025 option. They want to see him on the field. This could be a bad year for Aiyuk in a crowded wide receiver room that has his future replacement in Ricky Pearsall in the lineup, in and out of the lineup. I'm not saying they necessarily kick Aiyuk out of the lineup here and there. I'm just saying they will get Aiyuk, Debo, and Pearsall in the mix together, adding yet another mouth to feed. And then it becomes, okay, does Aiyuk actually play better in San Francisco this year versus Washington? No, I say no. Phone lines are open. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial into the show. I'm very interested to hear what you guys think. There are a lot of wide receivers. I see some of you guys talking about this. I don't know exactly what some of you are saying, but there are a lot of wide receivers being kicked into the conversation. Like, you know, what if they throw in Dotson and then they throw, or what if they throw in McLaurin, or what if they throw in Luke McCaffrey? I'm not saying that won't happen, but you guys got to understand something. If the Niners trade away Aiyuk, they drafted Ricky, okay? They signed Juwan Jennings to an extension. I don't know that they want a wide receiver back because then that makes the draft capital lower. I think they want to get all of the draft. They want the return for trade, the return on investment to be all draft capital related so they can maximize the draft capital piece of it. You start throwing in a wide receiver like Dotson or anybody, and you start putting that draft capital piece on a lower threshold, or the value you ask for from the draft capital side of it is going to be much lower. So I don't necessarily agree. I'm not saying it can't happen, but throwing in a wide receiver almost defeats the purpose of the trade. They want to get something defensively, maybe as a player, and then draft capital, or push all of the chips into the draft capital portion of it to weigh that scale down more so they can get a better pick back. I don't think they want to get a Dotson or anything like that. I don't think they're looking to do that. 360 caller, what's your name, bro?
This is Tom Cook, man.
Tom Cook. All right, hey Tom, where are you calling from? What state are you calling from?
I'm calling from Olympia, Washington.
Okay, Tom from. Hey, hold on one second, Tom. I didn't have you in the system, so from Washington.
I'm
gonna come back to you in a second. Just hang tight. Let me go over to the Marsmen and Rockout and Travis. Let me go to Travis first. Travis, you're live, and then I'll circle around. Tom will be after Rock Out and then over to the Redwood. Go ahead, Travis. You're live.
Yeah, I think the Dotson idea was perfect before the draft. If they could have gotten something taken care of before the draft, that lined up really nice.
Exactly.
But now they're gonna try to upgrade the defense, or like you said, get draft pick compensation back. Now that the roster's already set too, you know, the draft is done, so that they have their roster set. I'd be interested to see who they try to get. I've seen some people throw Emmanuel Forbes out there, but I don't know if the Redskins are going to give up their first-round cornerback they just took this past year.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you got to. So first of all, let's back the truck up a little bit before we get into that. What does your gut tell you? Because that's all we have. I admit that at the beginning of the live stream. I'm not out here pretending I have some source that's telling me something's going on. I'm not one of those people. I'm here to dissect and project and predict and just give my speculation, which a lot of times is wrong in these situations because there's so many directions any of this can go, especially when we talk about like draft day trades and stuff or free agency. We can't get half of that right. You know, it's fun to talk about it. We need to prepare for what could happen if this happens or what if that happens, the scenarios. But what's your gut tell you when you see? First of all, I don't know. We don't know if this was today. I can't confirm that because they just posted it and there's no way to find out.
Someone will figure it out, but
somebody will find out later.
Someone will figure it out tomorrow.
Yeah, someone will figure out tomorrow, and they're gonna say that was an old photo, you idiots. And it's like I'm not saying it is today, but if it is today,
still meaning to it.
If it is today, there's even more buzz going on. But even if it wasn't, let's pretend it wasn't. The fact that he put twin. You know, twin, and like if you just put twin, you could say, oh, they're just, you know, he's just saying they're wearing the same shirt and they're best friends. Like, damn it, there's nothing here. I wish there was. But the fact that he put this "we hope, cross your fingers" emoji, there's no way he's not insinuating I hope it happens, right? Can we agree on that? Can everybody on the phone line without interrupting anybody? Can everybody just say yes or no?
Yep. I get it. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody on the phone line is agreeing that this means we hope this happens. Why does he have a hope?
No.
Why does he have a hope? Travis, tell me what you think. Why does he have a hope that this is going to happen? He's got to be talking. He at least have one conversation. Maybe he hasn't had any more. Maybe they said, "Shut up, rookie. We heard you." Because Washington is probably the one team you could say they're kind of wild cards how they're running things right now. Everybody says that about them. They're like these guys. Absolutely. They're basketball ownership trying to come in here and do an NFL thing, and they may not. And remember, they interviewed JD5 with Penix Jr. and everybody, and kind of made everybody feel like why are they doing this to JD5? Like making him. So we don't know. They're unorthodox, but at the same time, it's like, you know, he's having conversations. He has to be, or why else would he just say, I haven't talked to him, but I'm hoping they're watching? Like, come on. What are you thinking, Travis?
I think it may be something along the lines of, this is what we get either before or instead of a trade request, where Aiyuk wants to go and play in Washington with JD5, and between the two of them, Aiyuk's agent, whatever, they're seeing if they can make that happen. Obviously, they're probably talking to the Washington behind the scenes, seeing if something can happen. But this, to me, is probably kind of his way of also saying to the 49ers, like, I want to trade. This is where I want to go, you know. And I think if the thing with Washington falls through, then you might get that trade request that you've talked about.
Yeah, I smell it coming. I if you're Aiyuk, there's no logical reason that if the long-term deal doesn't get worked out, and that could step on all this, like the Niners could see this and go, just give the damn $29.5 million and up it to $68 million guaranteed. And maybe he's so worn out from this that he's just going to go, fine, give me an extra incentive, and it's done. And they say, okay, fine, we make the Super Bowl and you have 1,500 yards, you get $1 million. So like I could see Aiyuk.
The longer it goes, though,
I could see Aiyuk folding out of the sake of being stressed out about it and wanting to get it over. Like I could understand that from him too if he did that. But why on earth would he not request a trade if the contract negotiation just keeps getting further and further apart, and he doesn't want to play on his 5th-year option? That's his next resort. But before that, the stage before that would be try and get someone else to pay him. Because what ends up happening is if the Washington Commanders, get permission to talk to him, like if he gets permission to seek a trade, and the Commanders say, and that's what teams do sometimes, they go talk to somebody, see if you can get your little money somewhere else, and then they don't do it, and then the player's like, crap. The next step is if the Washington Commanders, who have 37 million-ish in cap space, if they say, we'll give you 30.0, 70 mil guaranteed, and X incentive, Y incentive, and Z incentive. And he's like, done. And he probably would take something that he wasn't wanting to take initially. Maybe he would have fought a little harder with the Niners because he gets to go play with JD5. And he gets to get this all over with, and he gets to go somewhere where he feels loved. I've said this scenario to many of you that are watching right now, that if you went to work on a Monday and you found out that the entire weekend the organization you work for was trying to trade you to a rival organization and they couldn't get it done, that you would be wanting out if you had an opportunity. You'd be like, send me somewhere where they don't want to get rid of me. I don't care if it's a business. That's a human reaction. So you know damn well Aiyuk would take maybe a little bit less to go somewhere where he felt wanted than to stay where he is, where he doesn't feel wanted. Not to mention, if you're a TPS report typer at your place of employment, and they bring in the top ranked TPS report writer, and he's just sitting there next to you in the cubicle. That's your replacement. He's young. He's quick. He's got everything. He looks good. He types better than you. Like you don't want to be there. All right, hold on, Travis.
Right.
Final thoughts, real quick, Travis.
I was just going to say.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick. I'll let you move on. And the only other thing was that the whole thing that Schefter said, where it was they want him here, they just don't want him at the number he wants to be at.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
obvious.
unless he's asking for some exorbitant price, then they don't want him there because he's probably asking for around market value. So that's just like a Band-Aid they threw out there,
Yeah.
So that doesn't tell me anything about Aiyuk at all.
It's also posturing. Like, if you want to trade a player,
that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, if you want to trade a player in fantasy football, and you could say, "Oh, that's fantasy," it's relevant. If you want to trade a player in fantasy football, the worst thing you could do is say, "Guys, I'm getting rid of him." Unless there's some sort of like bidding war that you could get. Like sometimes I'll say, "Guys, I'm getting rid of him. Who wants him first one to bite tonight?" But I have a very big prospect. I know I can get rid of him, very very strongly. But if you can't get rid of him, nobody's making offers, and you're trying to get Washington to overpay. The last thing in the world you want to do is act like you're desperate to get rid of him. So, of course, the narrative is going to be, yeah, we never wanted to get rid of him. Let's stand tall on this one, guys. Let's pretend we don't want to get rid of him. Let's not show our hand. I mean, that's really it. Rock out, you're live, and then I'll swing over to Tom, then over to the Redwood. Go ahead, Rock out.
Yeah, as a Commanders fan, I love Aiyuk to come to the team. Like if he went to Washington, it'd basically be Houston all over again in my mind. And as far as the trade, they always are talking about giving away Allen, the defensive tackle. So they might try to trade him as far as the defensive piece.
Yeah. I love the Niner fans. I posted this on Instagram before I went live, and it's funny, but like, you love to stir the pot. They're not going to trade him. One guy saying let him walk. It would be horrible for Aiyuk, JD5. I don't know about.
Fans are wild.
They just don't like. It's so funny because I've called this thing to a T the entire way. I've never said he's for sure getting traded. I've never said he's for sure doing this or that. I did at one point say I think he requested trade before the NFL draft, and that didn't happen. So I guess you could say not to a total T, but But it's funny that it's like the deal wouldn't get done, the market would grow, he would get priced out of not only a trade, but get priced out of even being able to be signed anymore. Like, it's all been called to a T. But like, even when I said all this on the live stream and I was crazy on Instagram with my boy Raj and all the Niner fans, they still are acting like I'm out of pocket on this one. And it's like, everything I've said, you know, they're like, this happened with Debo. You're an idiot. Like, I know it happened with Debo. This is the Debo blueprint. The Debo blueprint is not a good blueprint to use. That is my point. Debo had one of his worst seasons because he held out that entire time waiting for a contract, and he came in and put the worst, he said, Debo, the worst film on tape that he's ever had, you know, put out there. And he says, I never want to put that kind of film out there again. And then Debo said that, I met with Kyle, we put it behind us, clearly indicating that he blamed the Niners and Kyle for kind of putting him in that position when they wanted to sign him anyway. And the only difference is the market didn't inflate as badly, and so they got a Debo deal done. This was, as we've called the entire way, getting out of control, spiraling out of control in terms of market value. Yeah. And the Niners were I guarantee you the Niners, in their mind, they have a check written, and they have their range, and they're like, yeah, it's going to be between 23 and 26.5 million. And no matter what the market does, that's what we're willing to pay. 65 million guaranteed, whatever it is. And the market explodes, and they're still holding the same check. They're not going to rewrite it. Yep. Rocket, hang tight. Let me go over to Tom. Someone else hung up. Someone else is on the phone line. And I think the Redwood, call back in.
Redwood.
Tom, you're live.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Happy to be calling in. This is crazy. But I mean, more than anything, I just feel like the way in which the Niners offense is run, they're not going to pay him like it's Justin Jefferson money. They're not going to pay him CeeDee Lamb money. So it's just like that difference that Aiyuk wants, he's going to have to go somewhere else, or he's just going to have to play this year. It's like that just is the situation that's going to happen. You know?
Yeah.
If there's a trade that's going to go down, the Niners want to win now. This is the window they have to win now. So I don't even think they're looking for draft capital. Otherwise, they would have figured something out during the draft. So
I think you make a good point in that if the player is right, they'll do it. But I don't think they want wide receivers. What I was saying earlier, I think you're right. It could be like I think I mentioned.
If they lose Aiyuk, then they're going to maybe want a little bit of something to possibly. I mean, a Dotson, like Jonathan Allen, I think is a perfect, kind of like a win now piece for that defensive line to go with Nick Bosa, and it's just like, all right, here we go, let's rock.
Real quickly,
some rando corner.
Just to address this, I've already stated this, Strawberry. Your Strawberry is reacting, saying difference is most people forget this is the history of the 49ers contract negotiations. That's my number one argument over and over and over, Strawberry. So you're only repeating what I say. Like you're not even reacting, you're repeating. Like I say that, and I say it constantly, this is the Debo blueprint. And that's the problem. The problem is you can't use this negotiation tactic. First of all, Strawberry, it's the most moronic strategy that a team can have. The Niners are the worst organization between January and the draft. They run their organization worse than anybody from after the Super Bowl, or actually during, depending if they're in it, until the draft. They're great during the draft. They draft usually good, although Adam Peters is usually the one in charge of that. He's now in Washington. That's going to make this maybe happen.
Which is crazy. Exactly.
But hold on one second. So Strawberry, we know this. This is part of the problem with the Niner fan base. Is they say this kind of stuff to me. Smitty doesn't know the Niners usually wait until June. We know that. I say it every day. The problem is the market ran away while you're doing the Niner way. The Niner negotiation way is the dumbest contractual situation, the way to attack these contract negotiations and the extensions out there. Period. It's moronic. You don't let the market, you don't say, okay, this is what John says. We always take care of our players, don't we? History says that. And it has. But the problem is you're telegraphing that you're buying a house no matter what. No matter what, I'm buying a house this year, and somebody's coming to you and saying, problem is, John, in July, the houses will be worth double. I'm buying one no matter what. Why don't you buy it now while it's $300,000, because it will be $600,000 when you hit June. They don't care. The problem is the Niners don't want to spend $600,000 on the house. They want to spend the $300,000 that they're waiting on. It's not going to happen, Strawberry, unless the Niners change their ways historically and fold and pay an exorbitant amount of money. Superfish with a $10 hauler says, what do you think a trade for Aiyuk looks like? The Redskins just traded. Dotson goes. Plus, if Dotson goes, how would Dotson affect Pearsall? That's what I'm saying. I don't. And thank you, Superfish, for the $10 hauler. I don't think. And you get a moonshot.
To the moon.
I don't think that. I'm not saying a wide receiver isn't included, but I don't think it's what the Niners want. They just drafted Ricky Pearsall. Right. Like Travis said, if they were to potentially not go after a wide receiver in the draft or one really high, then it makes sense that they have a void there. But they have Pearsall, they extended Jennings, they've got Debo, they've got enough wide receivers. Ronnie Bell is still very undervalued.
And Jacob Cowling is a sleeper.
Right, hold on one second, Tom. Hold on one second. And they're not. There's no need for a wide receiver. So at this point, it's just the Niners need to either figure out how to get draft capital and that win now piece. The win now piece is very good comment. They get a defensive player, something to help beef up this year to win this year. But I don't think it's going to be present in wide receiver value because they don't necessarily need that right now. Okay, hold on one second. Tom, you got any final? I mean, I'm not going to hang up on you yet. I'm going to have you mute.
I think last final comment is like another part about Adam Peters and the Niners situation. Like they're bringing in old vets, they're bringing in leadership, and dude, Aiyuk is a dog in that locker room. Even though it might seem like a diva, drama queen, he brings the tempo, he brings the aggression in practices, and people respect him. And they're bringing in Ertz, they're bringing in Bobby Wagner, they're bringing in Austin Eckler, they're bringing in Jeremy Chin. Like, they got all these dogs, and it's like it just makes sense for them to go get this guy for the Commanders team, and let's see how this plays out. Like, that's the perfect spark. They're trying to build a new stadium. They're trying to get the hype of the fans. Like, the Commanders, man. Like, I feel bad for that fan base more than any, I think, other fan base. So I think that's I don't know. That's kind of my last point. Right. Like, the trade just makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Hang tight, real quick, Tom. You can put yourself on mute. I'll keep you there. I'll keep you there, and I'll come back to you in a minute. Charles T, what do you think about the talks? Let me put this caller on hold here, real quick. 406 caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is David. I'm calling from Montana.
David from Montana. David, hold on 1 second from Montana. Let me come to you in 1 second.
You got it.
Montana. Thank you. Let's see here. Charles T with the $5 hauler. What do you think about the talks of Browns trading Cooper for Aiyuk? Cooper is holding out right now. Well, that doesn't solve anything. So, no, I think the fan base is generating that. Just like the fan base in Denver is generating this weird buzz right now. That's all the talk show people posing questions, but it would make no sense to go get Amari Cooper. They don't necessarily want to just replace one holdout wide receiver for another holdout wide receiver. It doesn't make sense. That's like the Higgins talk. People are like, trade him for Higgins. Why? They're both holding out for money that the teams don't want to pay for. But it would be interesting. If he was under contract or something. But I still, again, back to the why would they want a wide receiver? Just because they're getting rid of one doesn't mean they want one. They just drafted Pearsall. Like, that is the reason why they wouldn't. And like I said, Ronnie Bell is not somebody to just gloss over. I think Ronnie Bell is a very good player. Look, Juwan Jennings, what was it? 19 catch. Ziggy, how many catches did Juwan Jennings have in 2023? I think it was 9. No, it's 13? 17?
Juwan Jennings had 19 catches, 265 yards, and 1 touchdown.
1 touchdown, 19 catch Juwan Jennings. Ronnie Bell had 9 receptions and had 3 touchdowns. So I think Ronnie Bell's better than Juwan Jennings, to be honest with you. This Juwan Jennings is a dog, like the whole fan base says all the time. He's getting out of control. But I think they don't necessarily need a receiver. But you never know. They could throw one in. If Aiyuk is traded to Washington, where should we scoop? It's a great question. I think he becomes a top 25 overall player for me, just because the rapport is strong. I don't know that I move him like into round 2 though. I think he's like 3.1. That's why I said 25, not top 24. I don't love Aiyuk in round 2, whether he's in San Francisco or Washington, but I like him more at 3.1 as my third drafted player. The first third drafted player you could draft. I like him there way more than I did in San Francisco, with the beef, with the holdout, with Ricky Pearsall there. You know what I mean? Like Ricky Pearsall, don't think Ricky Pearsall's not a problem. He's a problem there for everybody. Debo runs the ball a lot, and he has kind of that wide back role like Achane has in Miami. It kind of guarantees you this certain amount of volume. There's a lot of plays designed for you that no one else can get their hands on. So Debo's a little more protected, but Ricky's going to be a problem. Like, they need to verse him for 2025, get him ready. They're not going to just let him be raw and green going into the 25 season. So it's a problem. I don't love Aiyuk in San Francisco like everybody else does this year. The holdout and the fact that Ricky's there present some of the same problems that you have when, like, someone says, do you still like DJ Moore? DJ Moore's now got Keenan Allen and Adunze. His value's changed. Rashee Rice, if the suspension talk went away and the whole case got dropped, against him, which won't, the criminal case for reckless driving and all that, if that got dropped, he doesn't go back to his old value. Worthy and Hollywood Brown are there. So Aiyuk's in a different spot than I think people realize. Not that Pearsall takes a ton from him, but it causes and presents a problem. So I would say 3.1. It's a great question, though. Let me go over before I answer this other super chat that I think just dropped. Charles T, thank you for dropping this one. We got Justin with another one. Go ahead. Is it Tom from Washington? What's up, Tom?
I think I've said.
I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, David from Montana. Tom, hold on. I'm sorry. I'll come back to you, Tom.
Yes. No, you're good, man.
Yeah, David from Montana.
I've been a Redskins fan for 52 years.
Yeah.
And we're headed back to where we were when we were dominant.
Attaboy.
Now, getting Aiyuk, I could see them taking De'Ami Brown because he's excellent in special teams and he will block your face into the ground.
That's a good one.
It's good. I think, like, are you, okay, so you're in Montana. Do you have anybody that's telling you that they're hearing something strange on the ground there in Washington? Do you have any family, any connects? Like, are you hearing, I'm not saying you have a source, but I'm saying, like, are you hearing stuff that, like, when the Cardinals were potentially trying to trade Kyler Murray away or not, there's a lot of local buzz that you hear that you wouldn't outside of Arizona. Some of it's just fan generated, but I am curious to know if Washington diehard fans are hearing something different than the general population. Like, just curious if you have any feelers out on that one.
Well, I'm a diehard fan, and
go ahead.
Are you talking to Washington fan, or are you talking to the Montana guy?
Or I'm sorry, did I just? Damn it! I keep crossing you guys across the streams.
Both.
Tom. I thought Tom was
Yes,
in
sir.
Montana. I might have wrote it wrong on my phone. I think that's why.
Dave is both.
Okay, so Tom, you are in
from
Washington.
Tom is Washington. And also yes, I'm Olympia, Washington. Tom Cook, that's me. In terms of sources, no, man. But the main thing is, like, in terms of my dynasty, I've got 2 different dynasty teams, and somehow I just have a plethora of Niners on my squads, and so, like, I follow a lot of those beat reporters, almost more than the Seahawks. But, like, don't tell my Seahawks bros. But in general, it sounds like, dude, they're in win now mode. That's what they want to do. They don't want draft capital. They don't want it seems as if they're in a position where Aiyuk is not going to be the guy they want to give extra money to. They just don't. They can find that other way with Kyle. Like Kyle Shanahan's brain is shit right there.
Yeah,
Like,
I got you.
need.
But I know you're in Washington there, but I wanted to talk to. So I think I did have it right actually. I was talking to David. I know he's in Montana, but what I was asking is he's a Commander fan, so I'm assuming he has roots there. He has family there. So I'm just curious, David, if you've heard anything being kicked around on this.
In our base, we're feeling optimistic. It's starting to feel more and more like it's leaning. Like it wasn't a week ago, I would have gave 5%. We're well over 25% towards getting him. And it's mainly because you can tell our franchise quarterback, he's pushing for it hard.
I mean, look at this, right?
Adam hasn't done a big splash yet at all. This would be the one.
And Adam Peters, Niner Connects, the same open line of communication and quicker line of conversation between Mike McDaniel, coming from San Francisco, now head coach in Miami. That line is a lot cleaner over to San Francisco. There is also that tendency to bring over people familiar with your organization and your ways. That's why you see Mostert, you see Jeff Wilson Jr., you see this guy, Miami Mike McDaniel, trying to turn the Dolphins into somewhat of a 49er, type of team. And he's brought over a lot of his ways. Some of the stuff he architected, the Debo Samuel role, you now see Achane in that role. Even though Achane's a running back, it's like the inverse of it. Adam Peters, you see a lot of the things that he's done and the ways that he thinks are still going to fall in line with the Niner ways, the Niner process, the Niner offense. He's been building an offense for the Niners for so long. He's going to go after Luke McCaffrey. Luke McCaffrey is very much that kind of do-it-all Swiss Army knife that he likes, that he's tried to go get for the Niners. So the fact that he went after JD5, just such a big playmaker. Adam Peters, I believe, is willing to make this splash. Not to mention the ownership is probably pushing him to potentially do some things to change the fan base, the belief from the fan base in this team. And you throw a guy like Aiyuk there, you're selling tickets, you're creating buzz that's not there without him. I know McLaurin and Dotson are good receivers, but they're not necessarily going to fill the stands the same way an Aiyuk would. A big splashy move would be unbelievable.
And there's one other thing.
Yeah.
He fits Dan Quinn's idea of a team. He plays aggressive. He's a hard-nosed player, and that's what our team is now. Hit hard and go after the ball, period. The ball is life.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. All right, hey, David, call in anytime, pal. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man. You have a great one.
All right, Tom, you got any final words?
Nah, man, just that I'm stoked to be here, brother. That's all I got to say.
All right, man, appreciate you. Thanks for joining.
Everyone.
Thanks for joining the Patreon and good topics, bro. Later.
Let's go. Peace.
Rock out. You got anything else?
Yeah, if they make this deal, like everybody should feel pretty confident in the decision of Adam Peters, because if out of anybody, he would know the most about Aiyuk.
It's a good point. I mean, not only do we feel like he's the most connected to get it done, but you make a good point as far as, like, if anybody has questions about is Aiyuk worth it, Adam Peters, would know what his potential is. Also, I guess, like, Aiyuk probably with JD5, I would imagine. What did Aiyuk have reception-wise last year? Let me pull it up.
Like 1,300 yards.
Can we find an exact? Let me find an exact number on that.
I know it's 13 something.
Let me pull it up.
And like 75 reception.
Let's pull it up. Let's get exact here. Hold on one second. 24 season, Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk had 1342. 75, you're correct. And then how many touchdowns did he have? 7? So that's what he had. I would venture to say, first of all, 75 is not a big number. And as much as we want to say Aiyuk's going to get better and he's going to grow and he's going to improve and mature, I don't think this offense, especially after you add Ricky Pearsall to the mix, I don't think this offense is going to allow him to eclipse 75 by more than 5 receptions. He's looking. I think if he goes to Washington, which will appear to be crowded, and it will be, it's no more crowded than San Francisco, though, when you consider CMC and Kittle and Debo's, consuming so much. I think on its face, it'll look like it's equally crowded, but it's not. The fact that JD5 and Aiyuk have such a good relationship, rapport, they played together in college, I think he's going to eat first, and everybody else is going to eat second. It doesn't matter if McLaurin's been the one, doesn't matter if McLaurin's been waiting. JD5 is going to throw to who he loves and who, whatever. So I would say like 80 plus receptions. And I would say, wouldn't surprise me if it was in the 1300 range still. Like, so basically the same receiving stats, but I think the touchdowns could go in
touchdown.
Yeah, it could go like in the 9
11.
to 11 range for TDs. So like this kind of line, and this could be even 80, 85 receptions. It wouldn't shock me. So 85, especially a quarterback like JD5, so accurate. 85, short passes to Aiyuk too. I mean, there could be a lot of plays designed for Aiyuk, but 85, 1300, and 9 to 11 TDs. That would make him a very safe top 25 overall player. Like, I think his floor, he becomes a player where his floor is very high, even if his ceiling doesn't go up that much. I think he just gets safer, I think is the best way to put it. Like, could he have the exact same stats? Maybe, but he's safer. He's much safer, especially given that you got Pearsall and the Niners' desire to maybe not make Aiyuk a focal point as much. They still want to win a championship, and Aiyuk's going to help do that. But they're going to see what Ricky's got, and if Ricky produces, there's going to be a problem there. So I think he's got to get out. The only concern I have is if this thing drags out, the injury risk for holding out doesn't go away just because he found a new team. So that's also a concern. This needs to get done sooner than later. Otherwise, we have that injected into the equation still. Hold on one second, guys. Let me just get to these super chats real quick. Justin says Aiyuk statistically turns into A.J. Brown in Washington, says Justin. Wouldn't surprise me. Welcome back, hardest worker in the fantasy football. Smitty to the moon. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate the super chats. Yeah, I'm glad to be here for the graveyard workers right now. If anybody's at work right now, drop a working hat or a tool or a computer or something to signify workspace emoji. I want to know how many people are literally at work right now. That's amazing to me. I actually relish in that. I actually really enjoy that there's nobody out there providing you a live stream, emergency live stream especially, while you're working, but this channel. I take pride in that. Browns owner will spend. One of the few owners that have the pocket change to spend like crazy, guaranteed money. Thank you, Charles T, for dropping the super chat. You are the man, the myth, the legend, Charles T, to the mother freaking moon. And then we got Justin with another one. Aiyuk. Oh no, I already read that one. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate you. Terry Roberts in the building. Man, I don't know. Rockcat, you got any final thoughts on this?
Also, the money will not even matter in this situation just because they are good in the cap and Terry's contract is done like 2 years. And by then, they'll find another wide receiver to go along with Aiyuk.
Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting what happens to Ben Sinnott if this does go down. And we're not saying it is, but it definitely feels like somebody wants it to. This guy right here and this guy right here. I mean, this emoji is no joke. Everyone can laugh and say, I know the Niner fan base right now is going, you hear Smitty's live. Quinn. Smitty's live right now because of this emoji. But like, this is the quarterback. This is the starting quarterback. This is the biggest investment the Washington Commanders will ever have. This is their leader. This is their Patrick Mahomes. This is their Lamar Jackson. If you think that's a dumb statement, come visit me in 2 years. Come visit me in 6 months and tell me that that's a dumb statement. This is their guy. This is their top 5 quarterback in the NFL, not just fantasy, in the NFL. Top 5 quarterback. Going to be better than Lamar Jackson. Laugh at me later if you want. Come back. I'll be here. I'll be waiting for you. 6 months. Come back and tell me that I'm crazy.
We'll wait.
We'll wait for you. We'll all be here. This emoji means a lot coming from this guy. It would be one thing if maybe Aiyuk did it. But this post, and I made sure to look it up. This post came from JD5 on Instagram. Aiyuk reposted it. So this is actually not Aiyuk typing this and JD5 reposting it. It's JD5 posting it, Aiyuk reposting it. It's very important because this is the quarterback asking for this to happen. And why would he put this? I don't know how in the world he'd have some small one-time conversation even weeks ago, and he's still just, I hope they listen to me. I walked into the office about 5 weeks ago and said, maybe if you, I'm sorry, I was told I could maybe request a stapler and also maybe a receiver. Can you please allow me to have Brandon? Okay, I'm sorry, I'll leave you guys alone. Walks out and just keeps putting up emojis. He's throwing up the bat signal. He's throwing up a cryptic Instagram post to try and get a hold of the brass and the management. No, he's literally got something cooking. The other thing I wonder is before a trade can be announced, a physicals takes place. If this, this is total speculation, but if this is actually an image from today,
right,
and they're in, I don't know. I don't have all the details. I don't know where they're at. This might be an old photo. I have none of that information. I'm just merely speculating. Why are they together? If they are together, is there a physical going down? Is there something that we don't know about taking place? We do know the Niners, according to Adam Schefter, as of yesterday and the day before, have no interest in trading him, so it doesn't make sense with that narrative. So I admit that. I'm trying to shoot down my own theory. I'm just wondering if this is a legit, brand new photo. I wish we could figure out how, if we zoomed in, is there that'd be funny if there's a sign somewhere, like a sale, like a this watch is for sale until May. And I'm looking at this sign right here. Can we get a zoom in on the sign? Does the sign have a date on it? I don't see anything. Is there a newspaper? Is someone holding something? Are those brand new shoes that came out in May or
right?
What's going on here? Is there anything? Oh, that's a designer shirt that came out today. That shirt came out today, Smitty. The designer released it today. There's got to be somebody out there that can find something. Let's scroll around.
Someone will know where it is. But
yeah, I don't know. All I'm saying is that you don't put this up if you're just hopeful. It's a sign of hope, sure, but this is the quarterback. We've seen this go this way a bunch of times now. Not necessarily via trade.
Alley.
Yeah, not necessarily via trade. Burrow got the drafting of Jamar Chase done. Tank Dell went to the Texans because Stroud picked up the phone and said, do it. I'm just saying, JD5 says he wants it. I don't know why they wouldn't do it. They got the cap space for it, and it's not a bad move. It's not a move you're like, God, let's bite the bullet for JD5. We don't like Aiyuk, but let's do it. This is a good move. This is a good move for the organization anyway. It makes no sense to not do it when your quarterback's requesting it. Charles T with another $10 holler. Charles T to the mother.
To the moon.
Freaking moon, my guy. Charles T says, let's go, Smitty. Stream on the wake up over here. This season should be even wilder than last season. What does JD5's numbers look like after a trade? Does CMC even get even better numbers? These are two really good questions, actually. So the question was, what is JD5's value? So JD5, I don't know if I'm ready to throw out projections across the board on him, but I would just say that you put Aiyuk on the roster, I would imagine his touchdowns go up from what I expected. I guess I would say like his touchdowns go up 3 to 5. His accuracy, his completion percentage, everything goes up a little. Like there's no way things flatline. He gets one of the better route runners in the league. I don't know what to do sum total to his numbers. All I know is I would say this: if Washington doesn't get him, I think that this team is a team that like barely misses the playoffs. If they get Brandon Aiyuk, this is the Houston Texans this year. This is a team that gets into the playoffs through a wild card spot, and they just surprise the world with Brandon Aiyuk or Debo Samuel if they got either one of those guys. If they don't, I think they still impress enough, kind of similar to the Detroit Lions before last year, where we thought they were going to surprise everybody and look amazing, and they did, but we knew they'd fall a little short, and they did. But you knew they were coming. It was like they sounded the alarm. 2022, holy crap, the Detroit Lions are going to be good in 2023. That's what we're looking at right now. But if they get Aiyuk, they go to the moon. The other question was CMC. I don't think CMC gets any better. I think CMC, I would almost say like I'm fearful of anything that just makes him get more carries and get overused at the beginning of the year because he's 28 years old. I don't know if he gets any better. I think he probably just stays the same. I think Ricky Pearsall is way better than people are gonna expect. I think Ricky Pearsall goes to the freaking moon. I think Ricky Pearsall is an amazing route runner. He's already, like, I would say, I'm not going to call him the best route runner in the league or something stupid like that, but I'm going to say that this is already one of the better route runners in the league, just in terms of what he brings to the table initially. Like, I get it. There's all kinds of things that go into that. I'm not saying he'll put that product on the field, but I'm saying like footwork, going out there and showing, his speed and his ability to cut. Like, those things are really, really advanced. This is why he was a top 5-6 wide receiver rank for me in January, before we even knew where anybody was going to go. But CMC, I don't want CMC getting more work. He's 28 years old, and I don't want him to become more of a focal point of defenses. I don't want the Niners to potentially fall apart at all either, because maybe Ricky Pearsall doesn't get on his horse until week 8, and the Niners, don't want to have some sort of rocky road to get to that point. Who knows? All I know is when Christian McCaffrey went out, Brock Purdy looked a lot lesser. When Trent Williams was out, Brock Purdy looked a lot lesser. When Debo or Aiyuk went out, Brock Purdy looked a lot different. So losing Aiyuk would be potentially problematic initially. I'm not saying that Ricky can't replace that, but I don't know if it'll just be a seamless transition. So I don't know that CMC explodes over it, but we'll see. What do you think, Travis and Rockout? Do you guys think CMC would go up in value? I mean, he could, but I think that it's not like they're just going to run more or something. I think Kyle does what Kyle does, and it's like a next man up mentality more so than anything else.
In terms of fantasy, it's hard for him to go up in value, really. You look at what he did last year.
Yeah, it's true. It's almost impossible for him to play better than he did last year. So, in a nutshell, you're right.
I think it'd be about the same.
Pearsall slides in,
Yeah,
Pearsall slides in and gets like 80% of what Aiyuk does.
Yeah,
something along those lines.
And CMC doesn't necessarily like pick up the slack either. Like, I think that's exactly right. Like, Pearsall slides in, makes mistakes maybe, but he's getting 70-80%. The rest of it gets divvied up in little pieces to Kittle, to Debo, to Jennings, to Ronnie Bell, and then some to CMC, but minute. So, yeah, I think you're right. Number one, Christian McCaffrey is going to disappoint off last year's numbers no matter what, because he's not scoring 21 touchdowns, I don't think. And number two, it's not necessarily good that you lose a guy that's, getting defensive attention to the max. That he's such a good route runner that you're potentially, covering him different than you would another player. Jennings is not scary. Defense is not worried about Jennings. Juwan Jennings is catching footballs because no one's worried about him. He caught 19 last year.
Charles T might have figured it out.
Charles T says that is Tyson's Corner Mall. Tyson's Corner Mall. Looks like Macy's. It did look like Macy's. Where is that at, Charles T?
It's in Virginia.
That's in McLean, Virginia. That's in McLean, Virginia. Yeah, I know where it's at.
Okay, now we need to know if it was today. How do we? Someone do some digging on Twitter right now. Justin drops another super chat.
I've been trying to.
Anthony Richardson will be better than Lamar too if healthy. I don't hate that comment either. You know what's funny is Lamar was and I'm not saying it was warranted. Lamar got trashed on a little too much, I think, over the last 2 or 3 years. He keeps getting hurt though, or he kept getting hurt. This year he didn't. He either played badly for half a year or he got hurt. There was always something with Lamar. This was the first year Lamar really put all of it together. Todd Monken's system was perfect for him. Remember, Lamar held out a big portion of the offseason, so he had to learn Todd Monken's system in a shorter amount of time than he really was going to be allotted, and he did really well. So, hats off to Lamar. Honestly, mashed potato. Lamar Jackson. Love what he did. But Lamar Jackson, everyone's acting like he's been doing exactly what he just did forever. Like he's been doing it for 10, 15 years. He's been very up and down. People have said he's a horrible passer some years. People say he always chokes. People said he can only run. Then they like him. Then they don't like him. He's been very up and down. And when I make a statement like JD5 is going to be better than Lamar, it's hilarious that somebody comes in as if they have some authority on this topic or have even a case to be made when you can't predict somebody to be the next great player. You're not allowed to. They have to take a snap first. They have to show it. It has to be obvious. You can't just have a bold take and say, my experience tells me this is the next guy and he's going to be better. You can't even do that, huh? It's not even allowed, right? Wrong. Not on this channel. That's what we do. But what's funny is Lamar hasn't earned the respect people are throwing at him right now in this kind of shoot it down comparison. That's a joke. Lamar better than Lamar? What's Lamar done until recently that's been consistent? It's crazy to me. Anyway. So I appreciate that. And so that's why I think Anthony Richardson could be better than Lamar. Especially, we're talking, Justin's comment is fantasy mainly. But Anthony Richardson's got a lot of growing to do, and that's exciting because he's already really good. He scored like 8,000 touchdowns in 3 games. Anybody find anything on X about this? Let's see here. Charles T's got another update.
I'm looking.
Macy's and Tyson's have great deals this time of year. This is just a little shopping trip. Get a couple sweaters, some nice slacks, 50% off. Thank you, Charles. Appreciate you with the update on the shopping. And then Terry Roberts with the $5 hauler. Anthony Richardson versus Jaden Daniels. Who will be better this year? Let's take a look at the film. We've got a little research on that here, Terry.
There are 2 5s? JD 5, AR 5? There can't be.
Oh no.
They're gonna cross streams.
It looks like they're equally tough. They just cancel each other out, apparently. But we also have this. McBride, he's an 85. So he kind of is a 5. And we have this.
I'm Trey McBride saw two quarterbacks cross streams.
There are 2 5s?
They're gonna cross streams.
He worked effortlessly trying to accomplish this feat on his own. Then, one day, he crossed his 4th and 5th round average draft position. And then, this occurred. Get McBride.
Anyway, you guys got anything else?
I don't think so. Be interesting to see where this goes, though, because at the least, the two of them are trying to make something happen, and I think it could.
I mean, we know they want it. That's like a quarter
Right.
of the battle. I mean, maybe. Because of the influence JD5 has, it's a quarter of the battle. And because of the ruckus that Aiyuk could create, it's kind of part of that quarter of the battle. You know, like, let's create some drama.
Adam Peters wanted it. I'd be willing to bet. So that's another step. It's going to be whether the Niners are willing to let him go. You know, 'cause I think Washington will give up. You know, enough to get him.
Yeah, Washington, like, if any team's gonna make almost an overpay, not necessarily because I think Aiyuk will be worth it, but anybody willing to, because I think draft picks are so coveted in the NFL, I think overly coveted. If there's any team willing to step outside of that, it's the team that's saying, look, not only are we trying to change what's going on, we're trying to do it now. And this is a big move. This is not a small move. They don't need to okay, we made some big moves and let's stay kind of conservative. And I know Adam Peters loves, draft picks. He loves them. He loves them. And he's so good at using them. But you gotta he's
in the big boy seat though.
Yeah, you gotta also answer this question is your draft pick gonna get you Aiyuk? And how much pull did he have in selecting Aiyuk himself in San Francisco as assistant GM, practically acting GM in a lot of ways in terms of the draft capital and scouting and draft assessment? Like, Aiyuk was an Adam Peters selection. Like, I don't know if a lot of people even understand or comprehend or remember that when we were having this conversation. Adam Peters is a heavy hand in why Aiyuk was drafted to the Niners. So this is kind of like him saying, if they can give up a player, and I don't think it'll be a wide receiver, a player, it could be, but I don't think it will be. It shouldn't be. You give up a player and a second rounder. Well, I mean, you got to be able to say to yourself, is Aiyuk worth that second rounder? Of course you take Aiyuk in that second round pick. Now you got to ask yourself, does it overbalance it by paying all the money? But they can afford it. The cap grows about 18 to 22% every 2 years. So a $30 million deal now might seem like a lot, but it's also a huge, awesome investment in a quarterback that they're putting all their faith in, Justin says, Terry, much respect to Daniels, but A-Rich is a gladiator. Quite possibly the greatest athlete to enter the NFL. I bet on A-Rich if he stays healthy. We love them both. Let me show you something real quickly, just so you don't. They're both gladiators.
He's on a shuttle to Mars. Mars.
There's McBride, by the way, but AR5 is a Mars man, and then JD5.
The Saturn Men.
One small step for man, one giant leap for Saturn.
I don't. It's not that I dislike AR5 less. I don't want to put it like that because I love AR5. He's a Mars man. I do like JD5 a little bit more because I think he can develop into the number one overall quarterback in the National Football League. He has that capability. He's still got a lot of room to grow, but so does AR5, who played essentially 3 games. So they're kind of both in a sense rookie. They really AR5 is really a young player that hasn't played at all. really. And so he's going to go through his growing pains, but that's exciting that he's as good as he is, as touted as he is exciting. He says the game's easier in the NFL than it was in college because he can trust people, and he couldn't trust people in college. He had to put it all on his back and shoulders. This super chat here from Charles T says a lot of players live in Tyson's corner area, and that's only mall or thing out there. A lot of rookies stay out that way, says Charles T. Charles T's on. You got the scoop. Superfish.
Well, they live like 30 minutes from there in Loudoun County.
Who does?
The Commanders players.
So we got to find out if this was today. Thank you, Shopkey. Appreciate you, Shopkey. We got to find out if this is today or yesterday. Can anybody find this on Twitter and see if there's what people are saying in the comments? I mean, there might be lies. We got to be careful, but I don't know if anybody's got time to look at that. But I wonder if anybody's saying like, yeah, Aiyuk was seen here, or he landed, or there was. I don't know that this was today. I want to know if it's today. It could just be an old photo.
It is.
Even if it's an old photo, which we're assuming, I've already said that at the beginning of the live stream. We're assuming it's old because we don't know. If it's not old and it was today, this is even bigger. Because like they're hanging out right now. Yeah, they're trying to make this happen. And why is he around that area? Is something going on? Is there a physical being taken place? Superfish, if they both posted it on the same day or near abouts, yeah, it's 3 hours apart. I mean, JD5 posted it, and then Aiyuk posted it. There's no. Oh, you know what? Let me go see if there's any location tag. I don't think there was. If there's any location,
because it's just on their story, right?
Yeah.
It's not like posted to their account.
Yeah, no, just a story.
Let me see if I can. JD5. They always go live together too. That would have been great if we knew they had gone live together, like, and said, "Oh wait, he's right here." Hold on. So Jaden Daniels. God, I wish there was like a check-in or something. Did Aiyuk put anything else on his stories? You know, like if they showed like a piece of clothing that they like, then you know that it was today. Aiyuk. I don't know. Okay, Superfish says if they both posted it on the same day or nearabouts, then it's highly likely that it's a recent photo. Why would they have held it and then posted it simultaneously? Well, they didn't post it simultaneously. JD5 posted it, put that little, hopeful finger crossing emoji twin, and then Aiyuk just reposted it. So you just, how if you get tagged in something, you can reshare it. That's all that happened. But yeah, it's a good point. But I did look at it before I went live to make sure. Thank you, Shopkey, appreciate you, and thank you, Superfish, for dropping that super chat. Charles T in the house, appreciate you, Charles, for dropping that super chat as well. Let me see if I've got any other super chats that came in here. I think Tom dropping one. Tom, appreciate you. Real quick question. Curious your stance on your Brock Purdy at QB 18 Dynasty, just ahead of Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy. Oh, you know what? There might be, I know why you're saying that now. I was wondering why you thought I was so low on Purdy, because I said Purdy's around 8 to 12. I think there's an error in my, I think I need to see if there's an error in my rankings, on my Dynasty rankings on the show. I'll check right after the stream. He should be showing up around 12 to 14 minimum. So I'll check on that. Thank you for letting me know. But I don't have him inside my top 10 in Dynasty. I just don't. But yeah, I do need to figure out why he's hanging so low there. Sometimes there's a stat update that I do that controls my rankings, and it drags somebody out on occasion down too far. Justin with a $5 hauler. I think I see another big super chat wad down there. I'm coming for you. Justin, receivers like Aiyuk basically don't enter free agency in the real way anymore. You are paying the second rounder to get a product that isn't on the shelf, says Justin. Appreciate you, Justin, for dropping another super chat, you monster, you. And Eric dropping $100 hauler. He says, for the president of the JD5 fan club, here's a $100 hauler. JD5, I feel like I am the president and commander of that conducting the train at least. And Eric, appreciate your $100 hauler tonight. You absolute monster, Eric. And for that note, you get the Denny surprise special, the $50 hauler celebration song.
$50. Give me $50 holler. Let them buy the brother Smitty. Give me $50. Oh, yeah.
Eric to the moon. Eric empties the briefcase. Eric, appreciate you, my guy. I had to quickly put some more bills in it because we emptied it earlier and I hadn't had a chance. I didn't know I was going live, emergency style. So Eric, appreciate you dropping that $100 hauler. You straight baller, you. Eric. What you find anything, guys? Anybody? Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you, bro. Again.
No,
Not yet.
Nothing else from what I can see.
So on his Instagram stories, yeah, he just reposted it. I wonder if there's anything on Twitter on either of their Twitters. Let me go to Aiyuk, Brandon. Like, what if he said, should I get this watch? Like, I just need something. Does he even have Twitter anymore? Why can't I find him on X right now? I don't know if is he on Twitter? I don't know. Let me see if I can find anything on Brandon Aiyuk. Is Brandon Aiyuk in Washington? Brandon Aiyuk. Okay,
Jaden Daniels hasn't posted anything.
While it could be nothing, Brandon Aiyuk sharing this post means something, I think. Could be Jaden Daniels is hoping he lands with the Commanders, or he's hyping his friend up. Okay, there's people just speculating here. Jaden Daniels hanging out with wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk via his Instagram stories. That doesn't really necessarily confirm that it is today. It's just people seeing it that way. Let me see if I can find anything on it. This right here, Brandon Aiyuk, eyeball emojis. Yeah, there's nobody has any real information. Let me dig into the most viewed one of these and see if there's any speculation in the comments or anybody that knows. Need to make this happen. Such a W tweet. My boy. Commanders do not need him. Will end up being a Commander. Question mark. Future MVP. I like the way that guy thinks. Okay. Don't see that. Here's one with 97 comments. This is... Oh, wait. Robert Griffin III posted this. But it's on the old one. It's the They Don't Want Me Back. Damn it. Let me see if I can find something with a lot of comments. Nothing. And I feel like I'm one of the only people that posted it on Instagram already. I don't see it. Ian Rappaport was discussing a potential landing spot for the 49ers, Brandon Aiyuk. That's old, though. Yeah, nothing, man. Nope. I don't think people are even up to discuss this.
Yeah, probably not.
BA's Twitter account is the 2 era. I thought I saw that, but did it have like no the 2 era? Yeah, I went to that, but it's only got that one only has 48,000 followers. How could that be Brandon Aiyuk's Twitter account? And on top of that, it doesn't even have like a profile pic. So he either stripped it down, hasn't had a post since 2023. I don't know if that's his Twitter. If it is, I mean, how could he only have 48K followers and no posts since 2023? I don't know. And it's not even verified. That's not it. I don't think that's it.
I don't think Jaden Daniels was a rookie, but I don't think his is verified either.
Yeah, that sounds weird though that Aiyuk's wouldn't be verified. And 48,000 followers. I mean, any pro athlete at his level has a minimum of like 100, 200, or 300,000 followers like immediately once they get even remotely close to big time. I don't know, boys. I guess that's all she wrote for tonight, but appreciate you guys being here.
Is Terry McLaurin, is he on his, did he ever sign a deal, or is he on his 5th year? Let's see.
You got one more. He has a contract till 2025.
Okay. Now, do you think there would be any way that they would like swap picks and McLaurin for Aiyuk and try to sign McLaurin to a cheaper deal?
So yeah, he could play. So he has McLaurin will probably hold out next offseason though, but he signed through 2025. He becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2026.
Would let him kick the can down the road, I guess. But
I don't see any sort
I'm
of
just thinking that
no trade clause.
if Aiyuk goes to Washington, signs a big deal, that basically means McLaurin's done. Isn't going to sign there probably. They're not going to give him a giant deal too, I don't think.
Okay,
It
so
cause a problem with him. So they'd want to keep Dotson probably.
So there's always that dead cap issue, and I don't know at this stage in the year though. What's so dead cap's $33.9 million to move McLaurin, but like that's been like how much of that's been paid. BA is still under contract. We know that, Val. Thanks for the heads up. Thanks for the heads. Thanks for the heads up, Val.
He's written that like three times now.
He is.
Yeah.
I mean, Val, you can't get trade. Yeah, you can't really get traded unless you're, franchise tagged under contract or under contract. Man, can you guys imagine? Like the thing is, like if Aiyuk got traded right now, let's say, or the news was breaking that this is gonna happen tomorrow or whatever, I'd probably go live, just talking about it, and then like it would hit me. Oh my God, we got to do a Ricky Parasol show. Like Parasol, it would get lost for a minute. Then Parasol's value just goes. I have Parasol in so many best ball drafts. Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. Use the link I'm going to drop in the live chat right now. Be prepared for drafts. We do them pretty much every midnight, and I'll drop that link right now. But yeah, Parasol to the freaking moon. I got so many shares. He would climb. Where do you think he would climb, boys? If a trade was announced tomorrow, and Parasol moves right into the lineup. Some would say Jennings is going to go in the lineup first. Whatever. 19 catch Jennings is going to... Parasol is going to out-catch him in his first rookie year. He'll have more catches than Jennings has ever had combined. But where does he go? Does he go to, like...
Parasol, I think he jumps into that range with... Maybe not quite to the Keon Coleman range just because he's so far away. I'm just talking about on Underdog. He jumps into the top 100 picks.
But I think he goes way higher than that. But
Yeah,
I mean, you're right. You're right. He
think
jumps.
would.
What's too high?
Maybe he does end up around that Keon Coleman. What is it? 73.
You know where I think he
Something like
goes?
that.
I think he goes. So let me just. I think he goes higher than like Godwin, higher than Worthy, higher than Jordan Addison, higher than McConkey. So you're talking about like 50 to 60 overall. You're talking about he's near Hollywood, Keenan Allen, Jaden Reed, Calvin Ridley. Like maybe he's below those guys, maybe he's not, maybe he's high. I don't know how people are going to react. He's still not going to.
I'd want him. I'd want him in that. I mean, in that offense. Yeah.
I mean, he's still going to be below Tank Dell, below Zay Flowers, below T. Higgins, below Pickens, probably below Amari Cooper. But, like, you start getting, like, once you get to, like, Christian Kirk, McLaurin, Hollywood, Keenan Allen, Jaden Reed, Calvin Ridley, Worthy, Odunze, it's like, where does he go? He's going to go somewhere in there. Is it at the bottom? Is it in the middle? Is it at the top of that like, range of player? Because Keenan Allen's in a crowded room. Worthy's in a crowded room. Worthy's also in a similar situation where like everyone's expecting him to blow up, but he's not going to necessarily be the guy right away. So I think like Worthy seems like a good place to where he could go. But man, he would climb so fast.
Yeah, I've been making sure I'm getting enough shares of them now, just in case something happened.
Yeah, it would take a little time though.
Yeah.
And I see Strawberry says Shanny doesn't play rookies. He does and he doesn't. I mean, he played Aiyuk as a rookie. He played Debo as a rookie. Aiyuk had a really good rookie year. But he also doghouses rookies. But the thing about it is Pearsall, I don't think Pearsall is going to get doghoused. He's too hard of a worker. He's too good of a route runner. He is so advanced for this. I liked him well before San Francisco picked him. I told Raj in his live stream and all of his followers, I said, if you trade Aiyuk or Debo, you better grab McConkey or Pearsall. Because those are or Malachi Corley, one of those three guys. Because those are the route running monsters that would replicate and replace and kind of be the best shot of getting, Aiyuk type volume back out. I mean, God, Ricky's 10 times the receiver that Jennings is. 10,000 times the receiver that Jennings is. Sorry if anybody likes Jennings. Yeah. Jennings caught 19 passes last year and a touchdown. Let's not get carried away. But Ricky's going to be the number one wide receiver in San Francisco no matter what. Unless if Aiyuk signs a long-term deal, then we have a problem because then Ricky and Aiyuk are Tank Dell and Nico. You're just never gonna really. I don't think we'll ever have a solution. We'll ever have an answer. It's going to be just kind of back and forth. And that's how A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith will be, I think. Maybe not this year. Maybe. Tough to know. But, like, maybe the next year it'll be like this for 2 or 3 years. I think if Debo's left in San Francisco and Aiyuk is traded, then you got Debo getting older, Debo being injury prone, Debo having a lot of mileage. Pearsall's the number one wide receiver in San Francisco within about a year and a half without much of a hesitation by anybody. But it will take a little while. Debo's still going to be good, maybe the number one guy, one of the best yak yard guys in the league in the last decade. He's going to be in the mix for being the number one, but potential is there for Pearsall. I don't see it week one. Yeah, I'm not saying it has to be week one. Just like Worthy, you don't know when. That's why Worthy's a little risky. People are taking him way too high. But anyway, how many people we got in here? We got 100 and we got 82 from YouTube, 50 from X. All right, boys. Unless you got something else you dug up on X or on the web about this situation, I'm gonna jump.
Yeah, the sun's coming up here, so I better go.
I'm sure I'll be live on this tomorrow again. I know some people hate talking about Aiyuk over and over and over again, but I do not go live on something that isn't new on it, you know? So, like, I'm not going to ignore something. First of all, I don't even care if someone says, I don't like that you go live on you can call into the phone line and change the narrative anytime you want. But this is brand new, and this affects more than just Aiyuk. This is JD5. You know, a lot of this conversation has been about JD5, so it is what it is. All right, boys. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
Rock out.
Smitty.
You got anything, Rock out?
Bye.
Later. Rock out, you got anything? I think Rock out's not there. All right, Rock out. If you can hear me, I'll see you later. I am out of here on that note. And, you know, I guess I talk about JD5 too much, so here's my apology.
It was brought to my attention I might be talking a little bit too much about the same topic lately. I've been doing a lot of JD5 posts, and I know people are saying, Smitty, I wish you could create more diverse content. You've been like 4 of your last 10 posts have been about JD5, and I just said, I don't know. I guess my reaction wasn't really the best. So I want to first acknowledge that and just say, no one's perfect. I'm always trying to get better. And I do think you won't hear any more. I'm gonna stay away from JD5 content. Never. Come on, bro.
All right, I'm out of here. Appreciate you all being here. We're live when big news breaks, like this bad boy right here. This is some breaking news. I mean, it's not anything conclusive, but it's certainly buzz. I'll see you all tomorrow. I'm sure we'll be live on this. Appreciate every single one of you. Justin with another super chat wad. Thank you to what are the thoughts on Dowdle and Kendry Miller? Love Kendry Miller. Dowdle's got 200 or 300 yards to his name. I could care less about Dowdle. Dowdle do anything. But Kendry Miller, love him. Thank you, Eric, with the $100 hauler. Thank you, Justin, for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think 7 super chats. 6, 7 super chats. Thank you, Silver Soul Jones, Superfish, Charles T with the 5, 6, 7 super chats. Charles T to the moon. Tom Cook dropping his super chat, joining the Patreon. Tom to the moon. And if anybody didn't know, let me come back on screen here. You always think it's over. It's like a Marvel movie up in this mug. If you didn't know, we have a Patreon. And on the Patreon is where glory happens. It's where the show gets extended. It's where we talk 365 days a year. After the show is over, I oftentimes linger over there because I create a post every time I go live. And it says, this is the live stream. Click in, get in there, and circle back. We'll talk about the show after. So I'm going to probably hop in there real quickly before I call it a night, and I'll chat with you guys. But join my Patreon. Join my Patreon right here. Here's the link. In the first 200 people, we still have room on this one for another day or two. The first 200 people will get into a 242-man league tournament where the winners of 11 different leagues, the winners will advance to the Dynasty League in 2025 that will draft live on the show. And all these drafts we will draft live on the show during a Saturday marathon. But this is how you get into the leagues. It's a Patreon-driven community, Patreon-driven leagues. Eric to the moon with his $100 hauler tonight. Eric is a monster. Let's give Eric a standing O. Let's give Charles T a standing O. Let's give Justin Rush a standing over, because you guys were dropping fire all night long.
Let's go, mashed potatoes.
Yeah, buddy. Now, if Aiyuk and JD5 will allow me to get some shut-eye, I'm going to do that. See you tomorrow.